They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say I've lost my mind. I don't care, so call me crazy. We can live in a world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make. There's a house we can build. Every room inside is filled with things from far away. The special things I compile, each one there to make you smile on a rainy day. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say we've lost our minds. I don't care if they call us crazy. Run away to a world that we design. Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make. However big, however small, let me be part of it all. Share your dreams with me. You may be right, you may be wrong, but say that you'll bring me along to the world you see, to the world I close my eyes to see. I close my eyes to see. Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. A million dreams for the world we're gonna make. For the world we're gonna make.
Thank you all so much for coming. This is so special. It's really moves my heart. It's been too long since we've gathered all together, even on Zoom. It doesn't quite feel like putting my arms around you, but isn't this fun? Minnesota, Corpus Christi, California, Ohio, Illinois. We are all over. Let's see. I know I've got another one coming in through the room. I think she's from California. Oh, and Idaho. Yes. Idaho being represented. All right, you guys, you have to turn your cameras on. I want to see your beautiful faces. You can turn them off when I'm talking on the presentation, but it's just fun to see everybody first. So hi, Melody. There's Papa Peter. Wonderful. Awesome. There we are. How fun. I know Zoom isn't always the most flattering, but it's so special just to see the human side of it, isn't it? So, all right. Well, praise the Lord. In all things that we do here at Faithful Oil Mom, we're just going to offer this time to the Lord. Ask for the blessings, vitality, health, wellness, conviction, confidence, healing, all of the dimensions that we are each seeking and coming together so that he can help us to be better instruments in the world of his light. And I think the most important thing to remember is, yeah, the enemy is playing both sides of the coin. He wants us to either be sick and tired or caught in, all of the debate around which kind of healing, how do we heal? Should we touch this? Should we touch that? New age this, new age that? It's all, he's going to try and capture us on all sides. So no matter where we're at, we're just here to seek the truth. We're here to find solutions. We're here to support each other and just welcome you all, no matter where you're coming from. A lot of times we come into a place like this just going like, things haven't worked. And I'm just looking for solutions, looking for support, looking for camaraderie in this journey through life. And boy, I've never been more convinced and convicted that we're supposed to keep this community growing and connected. So welcome. And of course, coming off of convention, that's easy inspiration to carry forward. They do such a tremendous job of just fortifying us and just realizing that like this funny little thing called dōTERRA has become just a real movement and a catalyst for us to come together. So we entrust this all to the Lord. So good to see all your faces. All right, you can unmute yourselves now for a minute. I want to hear from you. One little, snippet, where you've been, what's going on in your life. We're going to keep it to 2 minutes or so we can keep moving, because I do have a lot of fun things to share with you tonight. But I think it's really important that we hear, why are you here? What's been going on in the background of your life? Maybe it's a prayer intention. Maybe it's a victory. Maybe it's something that you've encountered that just will bring light to everybody else. So who'd like to go first? No.
Hi.
There we go. Awesome.
Hi, my name is Chrissy. And actually, I am here because I would like to, I know I've been watching the videos on the conference, and it's all about healing. And I would like my body to heal. I'd like to lose weight and just move forward in that direction. And thank you for having us all on.
Awesome. Wow. I really respect that. And I think that there's so many of us here that are seeking that at some level or another in our physical life, in our spiritual life, and even our emotional walk. So you're in good company. Awesome. Who's up next?
I'll go next.
Okay.
I second what Chrissy just said. So, just coming back from the dōTERRA conference, well, first off, I mean, I think they do such an exceptional job in everything that they do, which always impresses me. But they really, with the healing part, and especially with their new release, is something that I've wanted to find for a very long time, and from a source that I could trust. And at my age, at 48, I'm stuck on a lot of different things when it comes to my health and body, that if I kick back at all, like I just did, like the last 3 weeks for almost a month, I undid about 5 to 6 months of incredible progress. And it also helped me to realize too that I'm lacking what's necessary to maintain certain things, even when I'm not doing as much as I was doing, just to maintain a little loss here, a little loss there, general conditioning. When it came down just how my whole metabolic system worked, I've been researching this for a while. So it was like, I spent a lot of money trying to figure that out. And I'm really excited about what I think is going to be the answer. So anyway, I'm, at my age, yeah. Well, you'll probably talk about health span. That really hit me. So I'm excited to learn more about that versus just lifespan.
All right. For those of you that don't know, that's my husband. So we got to go together, which is special. And we shared it together. And it's always fun when you finally, like, he's always been a fan. In fact, he's a super oiler. But to get him to come to convention, I feel like it took him a while. I'm like, come on, you got to come. And so it's really special that we get to share this passion together.
Everywhere.
Yeah. Who's up next?
I'll go.
Okay.
Didn't get to see a lot of convention yet. I bought just a short snippet ticket and for virtual, and I saw the opening and I'm like, wow, that MetaPWR, yeah. The older you get, the more you start thinking about that longevity, and health is where it's at. So, and keeping your systems all in check. So I'm excited about it.
Wonderful.
Really stoked.
Awesome. Thanks, Catherine. Such a joy to see you. Wonderful. All right. We have some new faces too. Heidi, are you available? I'm going to put you on the spot. Maybe not. Maybe she's messaging. Oh, Heidi Kennedy here. I'm not able to turn on my video or speaker right now, but I'm super happy to be connecting with more teammates. Wonderful. Heidi is very just enthusiastic and committed, and I'm just so excited. So if anybody wants to follow along on Instagram, she does tremendous work there. Heidi, you can put your handle in the chat. Looks like, yeah. Oh, tell them about my period pain. She's had some tremendous victories around just a long-term struggle with discomfort around her cycle. And the oils have revolutionized that for her. It's something like, I mean, that's one of those encounters where you're like, this isn't just a gimmick, right? It's real chemistry, it's real medicine, it's really God's beautiful gifts to us at work, and her testimony is quite beautiful. So yeah, I hope you all get a chance to follow her on Instagram. Speaking of which, if anybody else has social media or a way that you like to connect, I'd love for us to share that. So feel free to fill the chat with that so we can all follow along. Melody, how about you share? She's one of our premier leaders, and she's done a book. She does a lot. She speaks and writes on the nature of healing and faith in lots of ways. Are you able to share with us a minute?
Sure. Well, I wasn't able to, I'm not all caught up yet because I really wanted to go to convention, wasn't able, but I just feel like my life as it goes along, and all these, the health crises and the children and all these things come along in life, the dōTERRA parallel is so cool, because like I'm not a convention, but at the same time, there were all these areas in my life that were like, the questions or the needs are being answered by what's happening there. And I'm able to connect and say, oh my goodness, what a blessing that this community is just like, there's that support, but also that progression. Like every time I have a particular need, I'm listening to what the company is saying. I'm looking at the products and saying, wow, this is so consistent. This is just consistent with my pursuit of healing, of mind, body, and soul, and all of these ways. And also aiding my ability to help other people, to have that space. And I think as wellness advocates, it's like it's an extension of the way that we're to serve people in life. And I feel like we're all these emissaries of, I don't know, I keep this phrase in my mind, like emissaries of tenderness, of grace and mercy to other people, where so many people are just in pain. And we have this opportunity to be just the hands and feet of grace to other people, and to be able to extend some consolation and comfort. And it might seem silly because we're talking about oils, but you all know it's not, the blessing. And so it's just a gift, and that's how I feel, even though I wasn't there and I'm not caught up yet, but I'm seeing these little tidbits. I just feel really confident moving forward, and I feel really blessed to move forward, to help people be able to bring some simplicity and clarity to all of the noise that's out there, and just like a touch of peace, of gentleness. So sorry, that was
No, that's beautiful. Wow, I think a lot of resonates with a lot of us. It's such an amazing thing that, yeah, these little bottles, these little oils have become such a significant part of our mission, and such a significant part of our pursuit of healing. So I love it. And I just want to, before I forget, because I know our time will be short by the end, I want to draw your attention to Peter Lyons and his beautiful wife, Danielle, who are going through a tremendous journey of adversity right now. She's fighting for her life, with cancer. This is Melody's oldest son. They're newlyweds. They're fighting for through her journey with cancer. Melody, I'd love for you to share the link in the event that anybody can help support them. They are navigating this journey like completely unsupported by insurance. And at the same time today, he's like, how do I become an aromatherapist? I want to know how to help, because even in the midst of something as horrific as fighting for her life with cancer, they recognize just the value, the consolation, the support that the oils have brought into their life. And I know Melody like rushed Rose to her this week so she could have antibacterial support. There's so many dimensions to our oils that span so far and so wide. And so anyway, keep them in your prayers, please. And if you're at all able to support them on their journey, it would be much appreciated. And we'll just eagerly pray and hope that before long they can join us again. So is there anybody else who wants to share a little glimpse into where they've been, a victory, a thought? I'd love to hear from you all.
Hello,
Hi there.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I'm 48 as well, July 74. And we have 5 kids, ages 18 down to 4. Our oldest just went to Christendom College in Virginia. And I would say for me, I blame COVID for everything. I feel like I was fine. The world was fine before COVID. And it was just so stressful. It threw me into a tizzy of anxiety, stress, whether to get vaccinated. Yes or no? What do you do with the kids? And it was like 2 years of just like turmoil, and then schooling, and then wearing masks. And I just felt like COVID just changed everybody in the world. It changed me mentally. And last year I had a really, really bad bout of anxiety. Not so much depression, but just so many fears of everything. I wasn't sleeping good. I wasn't eating good. I lost weight. And so now to get through it, I did have to be medicated. So I'm on medication now to help me through this little bout. But my hopes is I want to eventually get off of it, whether it's another few months or another year. I want to get off it. But it's amazing what stress, anxiety can do physically, mentally to your body. So I just feel like I need healing with that. And yeah, it's hard.
Well, thank you for sharing. That's really vulnerable. And each one of us have those aspects of our life and our journey through COVID that threw us for a loop. COVID trauma is a real thing. I think there's a lot of people, depending on where you were, that experienced it in a different dimensions of that. And I think what we're going to discover today with MetaPWR and just deepening our relationship, not only with the products, but with each other, is a higher increase of accountability, a higher likelihood of achieving that healing when we come together. We all know that as islands, we sink. What is the expression? A mountaineer alone is a mountaineer in danger. I feel like an oiler alone is an oiler in danger. Like you're just likely to keep them on the shelf or to forget that they're not just, placebo. This is real support. And what I want to share with you, I think, is just, it took me 9 years to get to the simplicity of understanding that I have today. I think for a long time, it was like this kind of mystery, maybe, yes, I get bits and pieces, but I love what Dr. Hill shared. At the heart of the convention, he gave us one simple phrase about the essential oils that to me was just like, that's it. And he just basically said, essential oils are necessary at the cellular level for an uptick or a downtick in genetic behavior. And it causes a cascade within the pathways of the body. And what that really means is the genetic expression in our DNA, which is either going to be turned on in a negative way through stress, through poor eating, through nutrition, or is going to be literally transcribed in a healthy way, That's where essential oils function. That's huge. I mean, that's like the most go to the heart of the matter as it gets. And so everything, whether it's the other products we're going to talk about, or the other medications, or the other support, or the nutrition, or the prayer, or the movement, like all of those aspects of our life begin to be magnified and like literally expanded on when we have essential oils within our systems. So all of that is just, it's basically the door. And it's fascinating to finally get to that. Like, I don't know, it took me a long time. So I hope that's helpful. We'll talk a little bit more about it, and I'll give you his direct word that you can like put your head around. But thank you, Teresa, for sharing. I think that this is going to be a great place for us all to continue to dive in. Is there anybody else who wants to share? We can share at the end too, but I don't want to, yeah, go ahead, Stephanie, please. We can get you unmuted. There we are.
Did that do it?
Yep.
Oh, good. I just want to say hi. I'm new. I'm looking forward to getting to know everybody. I already feel like the elder on the call. I'm 63. So you can all be my kids. But I'm really excited to learn. I feel like it's overwhelming. There's so much, but I want to go on the Speed Fast class and figure out what all this is all about. I'm excited with what I found so far, but more, please.
Wonderful. Yeah. Welcome so much. I know she literally jumped on board this month, and she has just been like fast tracked into the world of dōTERRA. And of course, with convention, it's like drinking out of a fire hose.
Yes.
But it's also, it's just a beautiful, I think you can all sense that this is a home where you can actually be proud to be and comfortable being. Let's see. I think we haven't heard from a couple of you, Amy, Lena. I'm seeing everybody's name. Oh, Mary. Anyway, anybody else want to share briefly before we move into our presentation? Okay. I'm screenshotting all of you as participants because I'm basically going to do a drawing at the end, and I have two beautiful bundles that are probably well over $100 in value. And thankfully, these have come to us from Nick Kilpack, our upline. He has provided these little goodies for you. There's oils, there's all kinds. I won't even spoil it. Like, they're just a total delightful care package. And I'm just going to draw two of you out of the hat. Those of you that are live, you get the benefit of being added to that. So just look forward to that. That's really going to be special. Of course, some of it is dōTERRA and some of it is just support in other ways. And so I hope you will enjoy that. And there's going to be some additional incentives that he has extended. I don't have the details yet, but he is supporting us as we all get started. So this is like a perfect time to invite people to explore getting their MetaPWR products starting on October 1st. And if you haven't already done so, for you too, there's going to be some additional support there. So that's exciting. And I apologize, I don't have the details yet, but it has been a packed day leading up to this. So anybody else? I'm just going to give the mic, open mic one more time. Lena, I don't know if you're there. Amy, Mary. All right. Well, make sure you keep your chat box on, because as I share today, I have a feeling there'll be some questions that come up. And I want to run through, what I want to do is I want to give you kind of an overview of the MetaPWR system and what it's all about. And then I also want to run through some of the, oops, that didn't work. Hold on, what's going on in the background? Something. Hold on just a second. Oh, I know. There's like, I have like 10 windows open. Imagine that. Let's see if I can get this up and working now. Okay, can you see my screen? Does it say live your most powerful life?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to go through the MetaPWR system, and this is going to be a little bit tertiary because I'm still learning it myself. Okay, so there's a lot here that I don't have all the ins and outs of yet. But then I'm going to also go through like the updates and where you can keep finding information and some of the fun details that are important. So the idea here at the heart of this new system is that we're trying to basically increase the likelihood of having a vital lifespan rather than just living longer but living poor in quality, cognitively, physically, and so forth, is extending that. And the way that we do that, again, is by getting to the very heart of the cellular process, being able to increase vitality. So this is the conversation they started us with, which is, what is the distinction between health span and lifespan? And what's the difference between your biological age and your metabolic age? Kind of interesting, okay? So suffice it today say that, whoops, went too fast. It's kind of a cool presentation. By the way, you guys get all this. I just have to like stop it and see if I can get it to go backwards. Hold on. Okay, goals for today. Do you control your metabolism, or does your metabolism control you? Why we need metabolic health awakening, the relationship between health span, biological aging, and metabolic health, the tools to slow biological aging and put more life into your years. And that's just a really powerful thing. So this is something that I think is more than weight loss. It's more than metabolism alone, which is kind of what we think of when we think of that. This is really about making sure regeneration at tissues and cartilage and brain and all of that is functioning collaboratively for the longest duration possible. And so the major 4 pillars that are we're wanting 4 pillars, 6 pillars that we're wanting support in: energy, weight loss, mood, sleep, clarity, and stress. Wouldn't you all say like, yep, that's pretty much it, right? We're struggling with our energy levels. Most of us, especially as we venture up into our 30s and beyond, struggle with our weight, our hormones, our mood, sleep, mental clarity. This has become like the trending fad is everybody's really highlighting, and almost with like a sense of strange, I don't know if pride's the right way of putting it, but it's like, I'm ADD, I'm ADHD, I've got trauma, I've got issues, I need it. And a lot of that's legit, but there's also this trend that has kind of like, especially post-COVID, where it's almost like the thing. And yet none of us are happy with it, right? None of us have solutions. Although I must admit, I hear a big trend of like, I'm on mushrooms, I'm trying this, I'm trying that. Like, so it's obviously a very prevalent and real issue that people are looking for support. And so I just, want us to hone in on that as we listen for pain points and for people's struggles, is paying attention to when they talk about, I need clarity, I need focus, my brain feels like it's not functioning like it once did. And of course, I think a lot of that, the root cause is stress. So again, wellness starts at the cellular level. And, oh, darn, sorry, I clicked too fast, I didn't mean to. Here's what we call this is the traditional dōTERRA wellness pyramid, but you'll notice that there's some changes to this, which I think is really fascinating. The foundation of our health lies in our nutrition and our digestion. This is the first place, our first obligation for being responsible human beings is nourishing our bodies and focusing on the digestive system. The next component to building a healthy lifestyle and cellular longevity is movement and our metabolism. So that looks
Chantal,
like, yes.
sorry, can you put the slides up? We're just seeing that first screen.
Oh,
And then the little slides on the sides, so we're not seeing the whole slide. If you have the ability to do that.
let's try this again. Thank you. I love it when people tell me because I can't see it. The screen is not changing on my end. Okay, I now see all the comments. All right, now what do you see? Same thing?
Yeah, go to the next slide.
Same thing.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna try to see if I can, I don't know why it's not responding. Okay. How about now?
No,
Still nothing?
it's not even on there. Okay, now go to the next one. There you
There
go.
you go.
There we go.
Yeah, where
Okay.
it starts at a cellular level.
Yes, okay. Well, I feel like I should go back. These slides are so cool. I'll just see if I can catch you up really quick. Boy, it's not wanting to work. Okay, well, we're going to start here, everybody, because this is the bedrock of it anyway. Nutrition and digestion, movement and metabolism. Metabolism isn't just the metabolic rate of your body in terms of consumption and moving through energy, but it's at the heart of so many core processes. And so this is going to be a really big conversation. We're going to learn more about your blood sugar levels, the way in which your body functions. This is really, really critical. Rest and managing stress, reducing toxicity, and actually we're going to be in reducing exposure too, right? So not just reducing toxicity, but let's also reduce the exposure to toxicity. And then of course, our informed self-care and our proactive medical care. So this is the foundation of the whole dōTERRA lifestyle. And we have support along the side for each one of these. So what is metabolic health? The 5 pillars of metabolic health are healthy eating, daily movement, stress management, healthy connections, which is what we're trying to create today, and then smart supplementation. So if we can teach these things forward to our children, to those around us, and of course, I mean, a lot of this seems kind of common sense, but the reality is that the smart supplementation piece is what powers and gives each one of these more of a catalyst to be more supportive, right? So we can all eat a healthy diet, but at the same time, we know that's not sufficient. There just isn't enough in even the best whole food diet in order for us to maintain our health. We have to add in those micronutrients. We have to have additional support, herbal support. Our food is dead. It's not as alive as it used to be. So we have to enhance our nutrition. Daily movement. Well, when you're in this space, we have to have quick recovery. We have to be able to regenerate tissue. Stress management. Boy, this is so much at the level of our ability to pull down cortisol in our body, to make sure our hormones are functioning properly. We all know this to be the case, but this is the role of metabolism. Believe it or not, your metabolic health is basically informing all of these various areas. Healthy connections, I thought that was an interesting component, but it's scientifically like being shown that if we don't have it, right, we've seen what happened over the last 2 years without having touch, community, connection, eye contact, emotional interaction, our bodies start to die. We are meant to be in community. I think of like an aspen grove, they have that interconnected root system. And if you try to, you finally cut one off, it's not going to support it. It's not going to be able to sustain. We need that as a pivotal piece of our health. So when we talk about this, and again, I want you to be thinking through the lens of, how do we simplify the conversation? Okay. How do we keep it so that most people could understand? We can nerd out on it, and there's a lot more training. There's a whole training on MetaPWR now that they're doing so that you can dive deep into this. But tonight it's just like, let's catch the main gist. And I think the main gist is this: 6.8% of the US adult population has optimal cardiometabolic health, which means pretty much all of us are in the dark on this. And that's insane. To me, this is like one of those huge neon signs that's saying, look, the enemy has taken the field. And if we're not careful, we're going to end up sick and tired. Who can fight bigger battles? Who can combat, the bigger challenges within the scope of our human experience if we are sick and tired and we're suffering at this level? And you saw how impactful our nutrition is impacted by our metabolic health, our movement, our connections, like all of it is tied together. So we really do have to understand, what does this cardiometabolic health mean, at least enough to take action. So, and again, I think this biological age and metabolic health connection, they talk about this a lot. I think it's going to become, it's like dōTERRA is ahead of the curve here. And again, I apologize. I still don't have the full knowledge. I'm still like, okay, get your head wrapped around it, Chantal, because they're going to want to know. And the gist of it is that your metabolic enzymes that help create energy, that help create tissue regeneration, that help produce collagen, that keeps you youthful, that keeps your brain elastic and healthy, all of that comes down to your metabolic enzyme processes in the body. And we are completely depriving our body of what it needs in order to generate those enzymes, those core communicators, those core players. And remember when I said essential oils are the door, right? The essential oils are the door that let those metabolic enzymes create energy that help break down nutrition into those peptides necessary for our body to metabolize. All of that is happening. So we need not only the nutrients, the micro and the macronutrients, but we also need those doorways opened and that metabolic conversation at that very, very micro level happening in order for our biological age not to overwhelm us and for us to degenerate. Okay, now it's obvious that we're going to age over time, but it was neat when Dr. Osgathorpe was speaking on stage. He said, I have this vision that I'm going to go out and I'm going to be fly fishing with my family, having a robust day, have a beautiful meal. I'm going to spend time with my grandkids, and I'm going to pass away in my sleep as I ought. Like that's the, again, in the beginning, God created it, and then we encounter death and we have destruction and we have brokenness. The goal is that we're continually seeking, not in a Tower of Babel kind of way, but in a partnership with God kind of way to restore what's broken. And I think that he's given us these beautiful tools to begin that process, right? We don't just live going, oh, I guess we're just supposed to be sick and tired and suffer. There's plenty of suffering, that's for sure. There's plenty of crosses for us to bear. There's plenty of trials for us to endure, but he also wants our participation. He wants our participation in grace. He wants our participation in thought. He wants our participation in our health. The enemy is the one that came to steal, to destroy, to kill. And so that's what I want you thinking about this when you go, wow, I don't know. Are we talking about like just, trying to shortcut death? Well, that's what Jesus came to do. And I think he wants us to participate as much as we can within the scope of our ability to help heal the world so that we can focus on those higher purposes, those more divine callings that we're all called to. So, all right, I digress. Lifespan versus health span. Okay, here's what he was showing, the graph. And some of you saw this at convention, so I don't want to spend too much time, but basically the extended health span. Whoa, hold on, hold your horses. It's a really cool slideshow presentation, but it's a little bit, okay. All right, so the gray line is where we've been, right? Which is basically that when we get to this like 50%, halfway life mark, maybe we're 60, 70 years old right here, things start to decline pretty quickly. This is where we've been. As a result of having the increase in medical technology, we've been able to expand that health span, but look at the quality of life, right? It's like, yeah, we can keep you alive longer, but you're going to be really miserable, right? Versus the optimization of our metabolic health, which not only increases our health span, but keeps us at that high ability cognitively, emotionally, and physically able to function, to contribute, and to provide us with that more, with that vitality. And so that's the goal. That's really what they're finding. And this is the piece. I don't want to just pull this out of the hat. dōTERRA has been developing this program for so many years now that they do have human trials. They do have not just, petri dishes and some speculation behind it. The radical reports that are coming back and the way in which they're seeing this system support people is pretty crazy. So I think that's what's neat. And that's obviously the hope. The hallmarks of aging begin at age 25. So NAD, which I'm not even going to try to pronounce, nicotinamide something. Darn, sorry, this presentation is getting out of control. Hold on, come back. Ugh. Like it's on autoplay. I'm waiting for it to be. NAD, we need to understand what NAD is, in that it's one of the core factors that triggers the aging process. And what we see is at age 25, I'm just going to go into this mode, okay? It's just too unwieldy. Okay. At age 25, it starts to dissipate in the body. And it's basically this molecule that's critical to the metabolic function of your DNA and your DNA's integrity. So when NAD drops off, your DNA becomes unprotected. And an unprotected DNA span, like if you were to hone in on the DNA, when it gets exposed and it's not protected by these molecules, then it starts to have radical transcription. Radical transcription can look like cancer. It can look like all kinds of crazy genetic misfunction, misfire. And so this NAD is a critical element to protecting the DNA so that actually it can continue to replicate healthy cellular health. So that's what we're looking at. This NAD is a really critical component. I encourage you just to like do a little search on that and understand that we need to basically get to the heart of how do we increase NAD production in our bodies, because it's a sharp drop off beginning at age 25. And then as we hit past our 40s, it's like whew, really starts to dip. So maturing fat cells, blood sugar spikes, cellular integrity, inferior supplements. These are all the obstacles to optimal metabolic health. And so we're going to just lean into this system to help support all these areas. You'll hear more and more in the news and everywhere else that maintaining your blood sugar is massive. That cellular integrity I just spoke of. And then of course, we've shortchanged so much of our culture by having high stress and then these just inferior products that we try to cover up the damage. All right, I'm gonna move us along here. Okay, so adipose, this is the idea of basically our fat cells. So now we're transitioning into the dimension. NAD is cellular protection. We're trying to help decrease the fat cell size. We don't ever get rid of them, right? This is what happens over time with toxicity, with a poor diet. Those fat cells just expand and they stay expanded unless we have something to help release and begin to pull them back into control. And that's where the beautiful combination, I'm just going to highlight it here for a second, but this is where that metabolic blend, the MetaPWR oil itself has been showing remarkable results. It's basically the Slim and Sassy, but they reformulated it. They messed with it. They changed the combination of how much of each one until they began to see that this adipose component of fat cells actually began to be reversed. So that's pretty amazing. And so at the heart of that piece, if you're looking for weight loss, it's incorporating the oil in the form of the beadlets, the oil in form of like I just have it in my water today, and incorporating that regularly throughout the day to continue to help keep this process of reducing the maturation of fat cells. There we go. Inhibits fat cell maturation, curbs cravings, support metabolic health. So the gum, the beadlets, the oil, and then they have it in a soft gel. And anytime you feel shaky, you feel like your blood level is dropping, anytime you, between meals to continue to keep this support happening, this is where you're going to want to lean. You're going to want to lean into the tools around the oils. Okay, so I don't know what I'm supposed to say there, but that looks pretty crazy. I think we'll skip to this next part. I apologize. I'm still working through my talking points. All right, so let's talk about MetaPWR Assist. The one graph that really surprised me the most when he was showing it was this roller coaster, and it was a graphic, and it was like this roller coaster up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. And he said, imagine staying on that roller coaster every day for the rest of your life. He's like, that's the way we're functioning at the level of our glucose spikes. This is such a massive reality for us in our human diets that it's becoming so catastrophic. That's why diabetes, why all of these metabolic diseases are so prevalent right now. So the idea behind MetaPWR Assist is that it's going to help reduce the absorption of simple carbohydrates, which means they're going to pass through, going to keep your blood sugar more level, so those spikes high and low are more stabilized. This is huge. This is really, really big. And the component in this is not only the blend, but they've also included berberine and mulberry. And those two have just such a long-standing history of being supportive. And so you take this 15 minutes before a meal to help make sure that your roller coaster, if you will, becomes this gentle flow. And that's the goal. Okay. Now let's look at Advantage. Advantage is really extraordinary. I actually personally, I just think they did this for me. I was on a cruise with Eric Larson, who's one of the, I'm going to stop this for just a second while I tell you this story. He's one of the top distributors. He's very close to the owners. And about 2 years ago, before COVID, right before COVID, I got back on May 2nd. The country shut down on May 8th, right? Like it was just, or March 2nd, March 8th. I was on a cruise with Eric Larson, and he said, "What do you want?" And I said, "I want collagen. I want collagen. I want a collagen product. I want to be able to help people support themselves in the regeneration of their tissues and of their skin." And so when they released this, I was like, "Oh, they did it for me," which was so fun. Okay, I'm being told to check the chat box. Move slides. Let's see. Is it safe for teens to use? 14 years up. That's what they're advising for the whole metabolic system, 14 years and up. Okay. So yes, you can begin to incorporate this with your teenagers for sure. Anyway, so back to Advantage for a minute. This particular product to me is, having studied a little bit about collagen and collagen products on the market, most of which are bovine, or pork derivatives. There's a lot of scam on the market. There's a lot of cheap on the market because it has become a trending scientific conversation. And so of course, anytime that happens, you have people that just want to kind of ride the wave. They have chosen to go about this in a very unique way. And the way that they've chosen to do it is through marine collagen, 9 different kinds of collagen. I'm going to share with you. The whole idea here is that this collagen is geared towards specific targeted regeneration of different systems versus some of the other collagen on the market, which basically when you consume, it's like you don't get to choose. It just kind of like, well, maybe it'll support things in a very generic way. The 9 different kinds of collagen they've chosen are very targeted to unique systems in the body. And this, if I were to say anything, this is the radical, like this is so radical. There's nothing like this on the market today. So 12 times more bioavailable, 9 unique collagen types activated by you, which means you put it in the water. So it's completely available. A lot of these collagen products are either pasteurized or they're already, they've been activated for a long period of time, so they're not very bioavailable. You can catch the little QR code if you want and learn more about it. This is huge. This to me is just an absolute brilliant science/nature innovation, and I love it. So here's the collagen types. Okay, skin and beauty, bone protection, cartilage, malleable dermis, your skin again, really focusing on stabilizing the structure of types 1 and 2. Muscle function. This is an incredibly impressive lineup of support. And so for me, my goals, by the way, I want my puffy eyes problems and my little wrinkles to go away, but more than anything, I want the toe cartilage in my big toe to regenerate. That's my big goal, because right now I'm sitting on the cusp of having to have it surgically dealt with. And they said my option is either to have my toe fused, or they're going to take a cartilage cap from a cadaver and put it in there. I'm like, I think I'm going to try MetaPWR. So I'm going to report back. I'm going to give myself 6 months at least on regular use, and I will give you the testimonial. But that's my big hope, because that's a hard thing to do. And even talking to the surgeon, he's like, yeah, collagen, the cartilage needs collagen. It's very hard to metabolize or regenerate. And I was like, oh, that happened 3 weeks before I went to convention. So that's my big hope. All right, so here's the whole breakdown of other components in this product. Marine collagen, you have the red orange fruit extract, which is an antioxidant. You have NMN, nicotinamide mononucleotide, which helps increase that NAD that we talked about, which is so critical. NADH, again, to help support keeping that DNA expression healthy and clean. Hyaluronic acid, resveratrol, the buckthorn fruit extract, rose apple fruit extract, the I don't know if I'm saying it right, phytocermicides, and then the liposomal vitamin C, which we learned so much about during COVID. And this one I think is really important because, again, it's just a component of stimulating that collagen, and then biotin. So biotin. All right. So this is just a fast glance through it, and then I'm going to open it up to more discussion. But I think the whole idea is that this system works comprehensively. It's not meant to be just part one or a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's meant to be a whole collective system that you use throughout the day. So I've been doing that since I had access to it. So the way that's looked for me is I intermittent fast till noon. That's my goal. Now everybody can decide what they want to do, but I intermittent fast till noon. And so during that time, I just drink the water with the yummy little like pepperminty, cinnamony ginger. It's good. I'm like, I genuinely like to sip it. And that way I'm staying hydrated. Then I'm focusing on using the collagen as I break my fast with it. And then I'll take a little bit of the assist before lunch. Okay. Then trying to eat healthy, which is a little bit challenging because I'm working so much, but I'm just trying to stay focused on whole foods. And then throughout the day, like in the afternoon, I'll do a little beadlet, or I'll chew the gum, or I'll use one of the soft gels. And then the last, and I think this is the most important message I can give you, for those of you that love lifelong vitality, this isn't a replacement of that, because this isn't micronutrients, right? You saw a lot of the things that it is, but it's not nutritional support. So I take my LLV midday because I don't want to take it on an empty stomach while I'm still fasting. So LLV still stays in play. That's your micronutrients. You take the MetaPWR Assist and the MetaPWR oil to help break down the macronutrients that you're consuming. And then you support your body with those collagen peptides to make sure that you're actually really expanding and increasing your ability to slow the aging process. Okay. So step one, that's your MetaPWR oil product. Step two, MetaPWR Assist with your largest meal of the day. Step three, 1 sachet per day. You could be a super user and you can increase this to 2 times a day. There's a lot of people that are doing that. And even the MetaPWR Assist, you can, if you're really at a point where you need significant weight loss, you're going to want to incorporate it twice. Okay. And so morning, daytime, evening. I'll give you this whole slideshow so you can have this at your fingertips. And the whole goal is that in conjunction with these things, you're using then targeted oil support. So if you're somebody who has joint pain or difficult, you're still going to incorporate your deep blue polyphenols, or you're going to use your deep blue oils. Or if you're looking for more emotional support or sleep support, we keep those other players in play. But the whole idea here is that LLV and MetaPWR are just your bedrock. That's the goal. Okay. Okay, so here's all the fun products that they released at convention. These are all available to you October 1st. The whole MetaPWR kit. They also introduced some beautiful new oils. I like the Super Mint. This is a combination of a number of mints, and this is a big co-impact sourcing story. If you've not gone onto the YouTube channel for dōTERRA, you need to understand that they've just stumbled upon it in a lot of ways. I mean, I just want to be real honest. They set out to do something amazing, but what they ended up discovering was a way to support humanitarian needs, to increase the quality of their product, so to create better products, and to help people in a way that's just so amazing. And so when you learn these stories behind and to advance the science, like that's the honest to goodness truth. It's like they just kept on this pursuit of purity, and it led to this magnificent way of functioning within the scope of their sourcing model. They do the most difficult work that no other company is willing to do. We're working with 2 to 4 acre farmers for the vast majority of our production. The fast way, the cheap way, the easy way would be just to buy swaths of land and to manage big, agriculture, and they just choose not to do it that way. One, because they get a higher yield and a stronger quality product, but they also get to help so many people. So always blown away by the way in which they've chosen to conduct business. And I hope that you'll go to the YouTube channel and really dive into that and learn those stories, because it just builds the conviction that every single bottle of oil you buy is literally supporting people. I mean, obviously supporting wellness advocates, but supporting the farmers and the artisans behind it. And it's very, very moving to learn more about that. So, all right, everybody, that's kind of the gist of the MetaPWR system and the new products. I want to open it up. And then I have some updates and news for you as well. You guys hanging with me? Questions, thoughts? Did I summarize it okay? Did you guys learn something new? Is this kind of like repeat of the convention, maybe not quite as enthusiastic as Dr. O? I'm telling you, if you can get to convention, it will just open your eyes and your heart in such a beautiful way. And I hope that everybody will consider choosing to prioritize that in the coming year. And now's the time to make the decision, because otherwise, you know, life gets really chaotic and we let it run up against the clock, and all of a sudden we haven't made the decision or set aside the time. So, all right. Is it safe for people who are taking blood thinner and AFib meds? To my understanding, yes. I will tell you that grapefruit is often considered something that people on blood thinners will avoid. What I have studied and researched, in my understanding, based on conversations with pharmacists who tend to have more of that chemical knowledge and interaction, is that because we're sourcing the grapefruit from the rind, we're not talking about grapefruit juice. There's a different chemical profile there that does not interact. If you're ever concerned, and this goes for you, but it also goes for anybody you help, my high recommendation is, yes, you can tell them to go to their doctor, but honestly, the doctors don't know. They just don't. They literally are just, you know, they honestly, they're puppets for the pharmaceutical companies in most situations. They're told this is what this drug will do, and they promote those drugs. And that's not to downplay the role of the doctor. I think a lot of people are very well intended, but they're not trained on these levels of like interaction and what could happen. So go to a pharmacist, go to a compounding pharmacist if you can, and ask, this is what I'm taking. This is what I want to do. Is there an interplay here I should be aware of? I to date have not encountered, you know, with, I don't know, 1,500 families or more that I've worked with personally, probably more than that. I have not ever had a drug interaction related challenge. You know, so again, the disclaimer is, if you have a concern, ask your pharmacist. That's where I would go. Hopefully that's helpful. Okay. All right. So, all right, now I want to share with you, this is going to be really important. I'm going to, most of you should have received this email. If not, go look for it in your inbox. And if you still didn't get it, I will forward it to you. But this is a beautiful email they sent out that recaps a lot of what happened and a lot of what went down at the convention. And they give some really powerful links. So they have a beautiful podcast about MetaPWR. These are some updates that they delivered. They go into, you know, the general session and talk a little bit about every single product that was released and give you those links to be able to learn more. I was trying to come up with a good way to summarize all this, and I think this does a really good job, so you guys can begin to get your head wrapped around it. All of the different products, you can just click through, and I'll just give you a glimpse. So, well, it doesn't screen share, but anyway, click in here. It's going to take you in and give you more support. I wanted to highlight here some of the fun things that are happening in dōTERRA. The Hope Touch oil has now been offered to us with PV, which means we can earn on it, which means we can promote it more. And I like that. The Hope oil before was always, if you bought it, it was 100% of the proceeds went to the Healing Hands Foundation for supporting the initiatives around human trafficking, in particular funding mobile crime labs to help on the scene support. So this is huge. It's really near and dear to my heart, especially because my daughter is really active in this space with trying to help with healing of those who've been sex trafficked. And it's a big initiative for dōTERRA. They partner not only with the Underground Railroad, but Rafa House, which is a community that specifically works on the rehabilitation of women, in large part down in Haiti. There's just a lot of initiatives that they've chosen to link up with that I'm very, very proud of seeing them put their support behind. I think it's a really, really massive issue that needs to continue to be touched. So now we can, when we buy it, we get the PV, but $10 of every purchase does go back to the Healing Hands Foundation. So it's kind of neat. They're basically saying, look, you can earn even on your donation, which is pretty amazing. Co-impact sourcing trips, you can go on those. They've opened those up again. If you ever want to travel to a sourcing area, they just gave away one to Kenya. The 25 Collective, again, the more you learn about what they're doing, the more you feel comfortable sharing and giving. I'm always very particular where my donation dollars go. And I've become particularly happy to support them. I've never seen them go into areas of or agendas that I haven't been able to be like, yeah, I really stand behind that. So, you know, for those of you that want to know that you can be a part of something even bigger, it's a great place to support. Okay, MetaPWR education course is where you can take the course to learn all about the products. And I want to also highlight, if you're not familiar, they have what they call the digital marketing, I don't know. It's a digital marketing spot where you can go in and they have all kinds of marketing materials, all kinds of graphics, images, documentation, verbiage, you name it, everything you need to be able to generate your own promotions, your own knowledge you want to share forward. Digital marketing kit, that's what it's called. And I will share that link. But that's where they have a handout for teaching, slideshow presentations, like all the stuff that is so well done. And so if you're not familiar with the dōTERRA digital marketing kit, just Google it first of all. And if you don't find it that way, reach out to me. But it's very, very comprehensive and super fun to reach in there. And it's the way you get kind of ahead of the curve. What are the specials? What are the things that are happening? Challenges, ebooks, information, all of that is available. And they've done a remarkable job of giving that to us. If you are in, I'm going to open this up, one of these areas, and I think we have quite a few people who could potentially benefit from this. There's going to be a post-convention tour. Here's all the dates. And the neat thing here is that it's going to be both education as well as product experience. So you get to go try everything, explore everything. So Colorado, I mean, it's all, there's a lot of places. And so you can find all of that information. They had a map. I don't know what the map is. Unfortunately, the closest one to me is in like Oregon, and I don't plan to go into Portland. So I'm glad I went to Utah. But I think there's some Ohio, Columbus, California, Santa Clara, Minnesota. I know we've got some. So there's an out east, there's lots of different opportunities. So I would definitely make a point to go to that. The other thing here is that when you go there, you can get access to the, get access to the kit as well and samples, and they give you a citrus bloom. So there's lots of fun. It's like a mini convention. And I think that's always fun. I know Melody has done those on occasion in the past, and they're usually really well conducted. Every once in a while, they're, they send usually some of their top players to those. So hopefully you will catch a good one. The leadership retreat for anybody in the leadership ranks is coming up. So basically anybody who's elite and above can go to that down in Orlando. I hope that Peter and I both can attend. And then lastly, this is the piece I wanted to make sure you all thought about. Next year, September 13th through the 16th is convention. Anybody who bought a convention ticket this year can buy their early bird ticket to be there in person for $139. And then the next time they open up those convention tickets, it's in the spring, and it'll be like $189. So pretty significant savings. They have some amazing MetaPWR samples you can check out. They have some neat, like this is more about like, yeah, just how to share and some different ways in which you can do a 30-day challenge. If you text MetaPWR to this number, then it'll give you a 30-day prompt. And I love that. So that way you can do your own little 30-day challenge, and it'll tell you each day a little challenge, a little something to enhance. And then the class resources that I mentioned on the digital marketing kit are here. The ebook testimonials, graphics. It's all here. They really do a good job of making sure that you have access. The PowerPoints from all the dōTERRA talks that they did, so you can teach on those, you can revisit, rewatch the sessions. All right, so I thought that was a pretty good summary of all the points. If you don't have that email, reach out to me and I'll make sure you get it, okay? All right, my friends, I've done a lot of talking. Let's just open it up and just have a little chit chat now and see where this goes. So love for you to turn your cameras back on and just share what you're excited about, what your questions are, what your hopes and dreams are for this next season. Would be lovely to have a couple minutes before we sign off. All right, there's everybody. It's a lot to pack in, so trust me, I understand. It's like, woo, we haven't even hardly gotten into it, and yet we all still feel like it's a lot already.
Chantal, I had a question, and I'm guessing some other people were curious about this too. What is your preferred way, or how are you going to approach like MetaPWR for new people and like talking about it on social media? Because they gave some examples obviously at conference. You know, don't be like the guy with all, you know, totally like just going crazy at his neighbor. But I was just curious to hear what your approach was in talking about it, because if you just start talking about like, hey, metabolic health, like that's not really, you know, helpful. So I was just curious to hear what
I think the
what
very
your
best
thoughts were.
approach is for us to try it. I really think that's the key, is like for us just to make a commitment as a community to hold each other accountable and to legitimately say, look, I mean, honestly, what's the harm of us choosing in for a good 30 or 90 days into just saying, you know what, I've neglected my own life discipline. I'm going to do it. That's what I'd like to see. That's what I want to do. That's the conviction I came away from, is just like, well, I need to practice what I preach. I really want to be able to experience the benefit. I mean, the testimonials of the people who've been prototyping this and been in the beta are things like 15 pounds in 6 weeks, not just from one, but like multiple people. And for, you know, healthy individuals who are dropping that weight, you know, and I'm thinking of like, even, you know, just the executive team, Dr. Hill, who's in his 70s, you know, people who have hit that slump and not seen the needle change despite healthy habits. And that's one of the things I like that they chose to highlight is, yes, this is going to be massively impact for those that are on the extreme end of the health spectrum, but this is really not just about that. This is about saying, look, as a healthy, quote unquote, individual who's already maybe been dōTERRAing or eating healthy or doing all these things, we're seeing major breakthrough. And I think that part is really exciting, because I think for the most part, I'd say, well, I'm pretty healthy, right? But I want to be able to experience it. So I think being able to experience it and maybe share that process, especially for you, I know you're so present on social, is being able to just simply say, hey, come along and see, you know, and then learn from there. I do think that the education side of this is a bit steeper than, you know, sometimes we're used to, but all of us have, at least for those of us who've like taken that hurdle and gotten into the oil world, we're like, oh, that was a steep climb. All right, I understand essential oils and their chemical compounds. They're volatile in their nature and they're absorbed at the cellular level. Like I have all these talking points that I've been very comfortable with now for a long time. And now all of a sudden I'm feeling this stretch of like, oh, I got to learn again a little bit more about, well, you know, what's happening in my body. And in that sense, I think one of the things that I know I'll emphasize is this conversation right now of self-reliance. It's a very big term. On one hand, we think about self-reliance in terms of like the most impoverished in the world, teaching them how, you know, you can give a man a fish, you can teach him how to fish. Okay, so there's self-reliance at that level. Like, let's help propel people into more freedom around their ability to take care of themselves. And then we hear about self-reliance in this negative sense, like, I'm self-reliant. I don't need, you know, I don't need God. I don't need each other. I'm this internal functioning, you know, almost like idealistic deity of myself. I think there's a place for us to talk into this conversation that says, look, self-responsibility and being self-reliant in the sense of caring for our health is absolutely a duty that we're asked to do as individuals who care for the temples of our body. And so I like to lean into it around those things and saying, look, we have to skill up, we have to educate. It's part of our responsibility. So I don't know. I love stretching people's idea around it. But that might be a hard sell. So I think in the end, when people present, hey, I've got pain, I've got weight issues, I'm not sleeping well, my cognitive function is down, I have weight that I can't get rid of, you're just like, oh, well, here, try the system. This is what this is for. And that's pretty simple. So always leaning in with like, what do they want? What is the pain that our clients are surfacing with? And then simply saying, well, are you ready for a change? Because if you are, there's a really cool comprehensive system. And really all it is 3 steps. You take this, you do this, and you do this, right? And I think in the end, that's how most people want to be educated. So if you've got a nerdy, like deep thinker, send them my way. If you just want the easy, like step by step, let's just keep it simple. I think that we can do that too. So I hope that's helpful. But yeah, we're certainly not going to just go out and just like blast it into people's faces. It's just never efficient. It's never effective either. Good question.
Thanks. Yeah, that was good.
All right. What else did this stir up for you? Anything intriguing? Anything new? Anything? All right. Well, I would love to propose that next year we all gather in Salt Lake together and we rent a big Airbnb and we cook omelets in the morning and sip bulletproof coffee or tea and pray together and oil up and experience coming together and experiencing just the blessing of community. I think that's my big dream. I'm the first one to admit I've done a really pretty pathetic job of keeping us all cohesive over the course of the last 1.5 years. And so I just want to champion all of you for, initiatives you want to take, classes you want to teach, people you want to invite. I will teach classes for you. If you invite people together on Zoom, I'll show up. All of you are capable of doing it in person now. The more in person you can get, the better. Some of you just want it for your own health, but at the same time, like consider the fact that if you're having an incredible experience and you love these oils, couldn't you share forward just a little? And I'm not talking about it necessarily for a monetary boost, but for the sake of genuinely sharing and caring. For those of you that do want it to be more monetarily effective, we got to get strategic. We got to get effective. We got to build habits into our life that make it consistent and allow it to show up for you. I honestly would not be here if that wasn't a big motivator. I needed to do this so that Peter could stay healthy and combat his asthma and allergies, and I could keep my kids moving healthy. And so I didn't lose my mind in the process. Like those are my 3 motivators. And I was like, well, I can't afford this if I don't share. So it was a big motivation for me. And now I'm genuinely serious when I can say literally, I don't have to worry about LLV and MetaPWR for my family. Like I have more than enough and I have income on top of that to start, putting aside towards those things that are in a lot of respects, my dōTERRA income at this point has become something that is like, I wouldn't say extra because it's a large part of our support. But it's been consistent, and I think that's something that I marvel at. A lot of times I think, well, I haven't, I'm not Blue Diamond, but I'm consistent and it's supportive. And so that can be the case for you. You do have to lean into the strategy of it, but very possible. If I can do it, anybody can do it. It's a lot. Babies, homeschooling, coaching, life. So.
Chantal,
Yes.
thank you for the great presentation. My question is, will MetaPWR work without LLV, and is it meant to be taken long-term, or is it when you reach your ideal weight, you can scale down a little bit and just take the oil, the MetaPWR oil?
Yeah, really good question. They emphasize significantly that the components in LLV are not to be neglected, because those are and there's some neat presentations where they talk about how that micronutrients is enhanced by MetaPWR. So the micronutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, and those polyphenol complexes, those are things that we can't get in our food and we can't get in MetaPWR. So that piece stays. That's your long-term, just like nutritional support. We've seen, now 15 years of LLV, and it's still like just so solid. It's such a good, well-balanced supplement. Then the MetaPWR comes on top. And, the goal here, I think, is that, yeah, there's going to be some of it that falls into a maintenance regimen after you've done it intensively. But the reality is that we're always going to be fighting that decrease in those natural properties that our body will produce. And so, yeah, we're going to end up propping ourselves up and supporting ourselves with this. From a financial perspective, I think that's more motivation for us just to consider how can we share so we can maintain our health. dōTERRA offers that, the loyalty program, the ability to be able to earn those points to put towards this. I've not seen anything similar to that collagen product. I think people are going to be racing and looking to capture that space more and move into that space more. But I don't know. I've come to trust the way dōTERRA does business and the way that they source their supplements. And so many companies just insist on cutting corners. And time and again, I've just seen how they have chosen the hard path. And because they've been successful, they can manage to do it. And they haven't pulled back from that. That was one of the biggest messages. They're like, look, we are not going away. We are a lifetime company. We are not shifting. We are not selling out. We are not compromising. They're incredibly diligent. It is the bedrock of why they have been successful. So I know I've diverged in answering your question, but I would say these are two pillars that we're going to want to try to maintain. LLV and MetaPWR.
Thank you.
Yes, for sure. All right.
I think I saw in that email from dōTERRA about if you buy LLV or vice versa, or the MetaPWR, they'll give a discount.
Yeah, so to be totally honest, I'm still waiting to kind of see how the rollout of it all is. And October 1st, all the products go on sale for you all, or for those that didn't get a kit. And yeah, you still, when you obviously have your 25% discount, the PV is pretty high with both of them. The Advantage is kind of like an LLV. You get like 60 PV. I think it's $80 and 60 PV. And so then you earn on that, you earn your 10, 20, or 30% back. I think more people need to pay attention to how much product credit they have. I cannot believe how many times I connect with a client and they have like $380 worth of free product. And they're like, I do? Like, yeah. And so, if you don't know how to use your loyalty order, like pay attention to that. The oils, the oil products, the beadlets, the soft gels, all of those are going to be dollar to PV. So when in doubt, lean in there. And again, I think this piece is significant. It really is, not to be understated. I don't want us to think like, ooh, the collagen and the essential oil is critical. In fact, I was going to show you that slide. I'm going to try and find it and pull it up because it was so impactful. It hit me like a ton of bricks. And I think it was one of the best simplifications of it all. Let's see if I can find it here really quick. Somebody else can ask a question while I find this. Or talk or share an insight. Okay, I'm going to get this up. Any other thoughts while I'm pulling this up? I think this is a really great way for us to kind of end things, but I'd love to hear from you if there's anything else you want to know or thoughts we can share. Awesome. Okay. Here it is. Okay, I'm going to share this with you. Dr. Hill, for those that don't know, he's kind of the main heart behind a lot of what was developed, but he's passing the torch to a lot of the other scientific body of support that he has, especially Dr. Osgothorpe, who's just remarkable. But when Dr. Hill was talking, he broke it down this way, and this just hit me so well. LLV supports cell structure and function through micronutrients and optimal enzymatic function. Okay, so this is the first piece. The MetaPWR system optimizes the metabolism of macronutrients. Okay, so micronutrients, macronutrients. These are the things we eat, and especially creating energy, that metabolic activity and the metabolism. Okay, so step one, step two, and then here's that piece that I was talking about at the beginning. Essential oils support chemical communication to upregulate or downregulate specific pathways in the genetic code. This is huge. So we need all three of these pieces combined with our healthy lifestyle. Ta-da! It's pretty simple. And he put these ones here, these 5 oils, but I think he meant in general. That being said, these are some really key pieces. So like if you're really like, well, what oils should I be leaning on a regular basis? That's a pretty good glimpse. MetaPWR, lavender, frankincense, lemon, peppermint. Those are huge. So I will I'll post that. For those of you that don't know, I'm largely active on Facebook or on Instagram. We do have a Facebook community that I am working with my assistant to help. I have a beautiful assistant, Hannah, who's helping to create a lot of value and good support for you all. Lean in there, stay close, and you know, let's just continue to try to build that connection between meetings. Monday evenings, every single Monday, Nick Kilpack has a team call, and he gives away tons of dōTERRA product. I mean, tons, like full-on bottles of helichrysum and rose and all kinds of stuff. If you go on there, that's just a phone call. It's 30 minutes. He's super concise. He's super succinct, and it's a lot of fun because he just gives away a ton of product. Like, you're bound to win. I've won multiple times. That's the larger team. He has people calling in from all across the world on that call, but it's a lot of fun. Wednesday evenings, if you're looking for support, Justin Harrison has his call. Monday morning, super early, Elena has a call. And then Thursdays, this is my time slot. And a lot of times I dance between myself and Carrie Donegan sharing this space. But I want to stay more consistent with this. So I think it's just going to look like jumping on a quick little connection. Whoever's on, I'll snapshot, pull somebody out of the hat and give away some product. So that's what I want to try to maintain as a place for us to gather and come together. So I hope that you all can lean in and participate here. You know, email me with your thoughts. Of course, you can always text or, you know, post a message in social, and I'll most likely get to it eventually. I can't promise like instantaneous communication all the time, but I'm usually pretty good. So I hope you feel supported. And if you have a dream or an interest in growing or sharing more, we'll provide more time and more personal training and more, you know, more business support and individual coaching. Like, that's the main emphasis of what I'm doing these days, is just coaching people through their challenges at the level of their mindset and in their businesses. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm getting pretty good at it. So if you really want to be able to do it, I can't do the work for you, but I can certainly outline some really good strategies and clear pathways to success. So, okay. Praise the Lord. Anybody else? Last thoughts? All right. Well, let's keep leaning in here for just support in all the ways. And I look forward to seeing the beautiful things that you guys create and innovate, and hopefully the healing that each of you experience. And I want to just encourage you to share the light and the gifts that you're receiving, so that we can continue to be more of a movement than just a product, right? I'd like to be part of a movement, not just selling something, right? So that's my goal. That's my intention, and certainly my hope in supporting each one of you. All right. Thank you all so much. All right, we'll sign off for tonight. And
Thanks, Chantal.
you bet. God bless you all.